So yesterday, a video of Rylan made the rounds where he talked about illegal immigration, drawing praise from right-wing figures and upsetting others on the left. The problem with the clip is that Rylan was pushing incorrect information.
I've got to be honest, that is a major worry. Now, taking politics out of this, let's just look at the country, Tim.
Yeah.
This country is built on immigration.
It is
Legal
indeed.
immigration. You know, a lot of the nurses, the doctors that have saved my mum's life have come over here from other countries, are living a great life. They're paying into this tax system. They're helping this country thrive. I find it absolutely insane that all these people, one, are risking their lives coming across the channel like that they are. But two, when they get here, it does seem, and I think this is why a lot of Labour voters as well are now sitting there going, there's something wrong here. It seems, welcome, come on in. This is the narrative we're being fed.
Yeah.
Here's the hotel. Here's the phones. Here's the iPad. Here's the NHS in reception of your hotel. Here's 3 meals a day. Here's a games room in the hotel. Have a lovely time and welcome. And then there's people that have lived here all their lives that are struggling.
Yeah.
How homeless. Let's not even discuss our homeless.
Yeah.
That people living on the streets, veterans, all of this.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't me getting on my soapbox because,
no.
let me be honest, everyone's going to have an opinion about this and you're going to upset someone some which way. I believe that something major needs to be done about this. The money that it's costing us, the amount of people that are in this country that we have no idea who they are, what they've done, what they're capable of, and clearly we see a lot of it in the press at the moment, some of what some are doing, it's not all, what some are doing to people in this country. How can, if I turn up at Heathrow Airport as a British citizen and I've left my passport in Spain, I've got to stand at that airport and won't be let in and got to get this, but if I arrive on a boat in Calais, I get taken to a 4-star hotel.
It didn't take long for far-right figures to jump on the bandwagon and praise Rylan. Tommy Robinson, aka Stephen Yaxley Lennon, said, "Rylan speaking the most common sense ever spoken on ITV's This Morning. You just know the communist cult will be typing in complaints because his facts hurt their feelings." Adam Brooks, right-wing commentator, said, "I know Rylan. He's a good man. He's not said anything controversial. In fact, he said what the majority feel. In real life, people would have clapped at their TVs, but the small minority on here, and with leftism rotting their brains, can't handle the truth. Pathetic." He's such an online Karen. Now, Rylan tweeted a response to the backlash. "You can be pro-immigration and against illegal routes. You could support trans people and have the utmost respect for women. You could be heterosexual and still support gay rights. The list continues. Stop with this putting everyone in a box exercise and maybe have conversations instead of shouting on Twitter." But the right wing have been putting people in boxes. I mean, Robinson just called everyone a communist if you were critical of his take. In that tweet, Rylan said people don't support illegal routes. The problem is that governments won't create safe and legal routes. The right wing don't support that either. Plus, the term illegal route is contentious because under the Refugee Convention, asylum seekers can choose any country and any route if they need to. Tommy Skinner, aka Boschman, replied under that tweet. "I'm so proud of you, mate." Here you can see Rylan palling around with Skinner, so lies have most likely rubbed off on him. Now, I don't think Rylan is a bad guy or anything. I don't think he was being mean or nasty. But my issue is that he simply heard right-wing talking points, pushed it uncritically, with no one else giving the slightest pushback. But what Rylan said is probably the average opinion of most people. So I'm not angry at Rylan personally. It's our system. It's the widespread misinformation that people buy into. Everyone's had a conversation with someone where we've heard of the benefit scrounger line, or immigrants coming over here and getting everything, getting more than the British people. It's a powerful myth. It may be a right-wing talking point, but it's not just propagated by right-wingers. I've heard it from people who are otherwise pretty progressive. We are in the minority. We may be correct, but it's irrelevant when most people don't think like us. So let's go through what Rylan said and get to the facts. So in the video, Rylan starts off by praising legal migrants, but then goes on to say that it seems like being the operative word, like those crossing the channel are given everything. 3 meals a day, games room, iPad. He then draws a comparison with people here who are struggling, who are homeless. He says something major needs to be done. The cost, the amount of people who are here who we don't know who they are, what they've done. He then finishes off with a scenario where if you're on holiday and leave your passport in Spain, you're held up. But if you cross on a boat, you're allowed in a 4-star hotel. There's a lot of misinformation there. A lot of it is rhetoric too, because he doesn't make specific claims, which I would argue is more harmful because it's harder to fact check. Now, asylum seekers are not given everything. They're not given more than people in this country. They're kept in poor accommodation. Everyone's talking about the Bell Hotel in Epping as if it's some kind of castle. It's a small hotel with people cramped in rooms. Each person is given £7 per day, £49.18 per week on a preloaded card. That number reduces to £9.95 per person per week, which is £1.42p per day if the accommodation provides meals. Obviously, the meals are at the discretion of the hotel. It's hardly going to be a feast. So tell me, could you live on that? Asylum seekers are not entitled to universal credit or anything else. Yes, asylum seekers are entitled to the NHS, but that's because the NHS is free at the point of use. The one thing they get that working people don't is free prescriptions. Free prescriptions are given to anyone who doesn't work. Now, you might froth at the mouth that you have to pay £9 per prescription, whereas someone with literally no means doesn't, but that to me is a fair system. Asylum seekers have no money, so they can't get medication otherwise. If you think we should take away free prescriptions, morality aside, if asylum seekers get sicker, then they would have to use the NHS, which would cost more money. So free prescriptions for asylum seekers is obviously a sensible policy. They also don't get free iPads. No idea where Rylan got that from. They also don't get free phones. That's a made-up lie. Some charities may give free SIM cards, but that's not the government. Then he claims that refugees are given 4-star hotels. This is what the Red Cross has to say. Are asylum seekers put in top hotels? No. Far from it. When an asylum seeker arrives in the UK, they are unlikely to know anyone here or have anywhere to go. The Home Office will house them in an initial accommodation centre. This is a temporary measure before they're moved on elsewhere. However, an unprecedented asylum backlog in the UK means that temporary can last months. British Red Cross published at the end of November 2022 shows that the asylum backlog has got so bad in the UK, people are suffering with poor mental and physical health for years. So when you look at the facts, it exposes this bullshit narrative that asylum seekers are living at large when it's a pretty miserable experience. On the point about losing your passport coming back from holiday, you're held in the airport, but not when you arrive by boat. I mean, just listen to that back. Obviously, because arriving by boat clearly shows you're a refugee, you're fleeing persecution. Coming from holiday is obviously a completely different scenario. That's just common sense. I mean, what would you do? Tell every refugee that they can't seek asylum because they don't have their documents. So if you're fleeing a brutal dictatorship, there's a mark on your head. Well, I'd forgive these people if they didn't hang around and pick up their documents. Plus, when asylum seekers don't have their passport or documentation, it makes it harder for them to be given refugee status, which smashes the right-wing lie that they purposely throw their documents away. Is Rylan saying he'd rather be kept in a cramped hotel with loads of people if he lost his passport? Honestly, I'd rather be in the airport. The point I want to make is that those of us on the left want to see the government actually address homelessness. The right wing don't. They pretend to care when it's used to attack migrants and refugees. When it comes to the narrative that people are struggling in this country and asylum seekers get everything, which are obviously debunked, it's the left who want to see the material conditions of everyone improve. We are the ones who talk about increasing welfare payments. We are the ones who talk about expanding universal services. No one on the right supports universal basic income anymore, which is unconditional payments to everyone. The right have supported austerity, free markets, cutting benefits. So when they try to talk about the conditions of the British people compared to immigrants and refugees, do you think they actually want to improve the lives of the British working class? Do they fuck? They are just racist and bigoted. It's the classic, well, we need to take care of our own. And we say, okay then, let's do that. And they say, fuck off. Increase benefits? Hard left. Guarantee essentials such as housing? You're a communist. They are full of shit. I would not be surprised if Rylan becomes a right-wing grifter. And I say that because a lot of people's egos get hurt when you criticize or attack them. Instead of responding to critics rationally, usually you double down. It's a very human response. It entrenches your own view. What you're seeing is the usual right and far-right figures coming to the defense for Rylan and then creating a narrative that the left are crazy because they're trying to love bomb him. You have that coupled with the facts that being right-wing is such an easy grift. There's money in it. You'll get access to so many things. Rylan is someone who just likes to be in the spotlight. And that's not even a criticism of him. He clearly likes being in the public eye. That's what he wants to do. And the right wing can give him endless airtime. He doesn't even need to believe what he says. A lot of them don't. This then leads to a narrative in which Sophie Corcoran displayed on Twitter. You know, the left's entire argument is dead when they're trying to call Rylan far right. Lol, Rylan. Now, no one has been calling Rylan far right, maybe a handful of Twitter trolls, but it isn't the left calling him far right. He's objectively not far right. He just pushed right-wing myths. But this is how the right play this game. Rylan deservedly got criticised. If you push misinformation, you should be criticised. Then you have figures on the right deliberately lie and say, well, the entirety of the left are calling Rylan far right. See how crazy and out of touch they are. This is how they push the Overton window. It's such an easy game for right-wingers. They don't debate you, they strawman you. They assign your beliefs to you, even if it's not your beliefs. It's their version of it. If you say it's objectively incorrect to say most refugees coming here are not criminals, instead of debating the available facts, they'll just say, you don't care about crime and you don't care about vulnerable young girls. If you criticize a self-described non-expert and just celebrity pundit, you're apparently accusing them of being a member of the far right. It's so easy because they can change it up whenever it suits them. They respond with emotional arguments, not logic. And they can get away with it because our system incentivizes this opinion. Why does the media talk about crime and immigration every single day, but doesn't talk about billionaires and corporations not paying taxes? Why doesn't the media talk about the growing gap between the rich and poor? Why doesn't the media publish stories of how workers are being treated appallingly by companies such as Amazon? If you talk about these issues, then something might be done about it. And given that the media is owned by the very same billionaires who don't want to pay more taxes, or the ones they avoid, or they don't want to pay their workers more, or treat them like humans, then why would this be discussed? But the working class fighting over immigration and refugees, that's a silver bullet for the billionaires. They're laughing at all of us. We spend all of our time talking about this while they get richer. People like Sophie Corcoran and the rest of the right-wing pundits are doing the bidding of the billionaires, whether they know it or not. And when reform gets in, which I think they will, they're going to pull us out of the Refugee Convention, the ECHR, remove our human rights just so they can deport a handful of people because they won't hit their goal of hundreds of thousands of people being deported. Ask yourself, is that worth it? If you're someone who's watching now who wants to see a dramatic reduction in immigration, who wants to stop the boats, who wants to turn away every single refugee, ask yourself in a couple of years' time, did your rent go down? Are you still struggling to pay your bills? Are you still being ripped off? Is your town still crumbling and you've not seen a penny of investment your entire life? Ask yourself, was it worth it? Remember that we have live shows 3 times per week, every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 7:30 p.m. discussing the latest political stories. We are trying to go full-time and grow this channel. You can support us by going to turnleftmedia.co.uk/support. There you can support us monthly via Patreon, or there is another link to a one-off donation. Alternatively, you can become a YouTube member for just 99p. Remember to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon.